The wedding was everything I had dreamed it would be. The sky was clear, the vineyard stretched for miles in every direction, and the rolling hills of Napa Valley bathed in soft, golden light. My brother Kyle was finally tying the knot to Madison, his perfect bride, at least, that's what I thought. The ceremony was a blur of soft music, vows, and tears. Everyone was smiling, everyone was happy, and for a fleeting moment, I allowed myself to get swept up in the fantasy of it all. My parents were sitting at the front, their laughter carrying across the garden as they recalled funny stories of Kyle's childhood. My father, with his booming voice, had just joked about how Kyle was once terrified of the family's dog, and my mother had added, laughing, that Kyle used to sneak into her room just to avoid it. The room erupted into laughter, and I watched my mother wipe her eyes from the fit of giggles. Everything felt so right, so perfect. The family was together, the air was filled with joy. But then, I noticed Michael, my husband, standing a little too still beside me. He wasn't laughing like everyone else. His eyes weren't on the ceremony, they were locked on Madison. There was a coldness in his gaze, an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. He didn't even seem to blink. I turned to him, trying to catch his attention. "Everything okay?" I whispered, my voice barely rising above the soft hum of the wedding. He didn't respond at first, still staring intently at Madison. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he met my eyes, his face ashen. "Audrey, we have to go," he said, his voice low but urgent. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. "What? What do you mean, go? Kyle is getting married. This is his day." Michael didn't say anything more. His jaw was tight, his hand gripping mine a little too hard. His eyes were still on Madison, but there was something different in his expression, something darker. "Michael," I said, my voice trembling. "What's going on? Why do we have to leave? Kyle is about to get married." But Michael didn't respond. He stood up abruptly, his chair scraping the floor with a loud screech. My stomach tightened as I followed him outside, the cool Napa air hitting my face like a slap. "We need to leave, Audrey. It's urgent." His words were clipped, almost frantic now. I was breathless, panicking. "Michael, you're scaring me." "Why? What's happening?" "This is Kyle's wedding, for God's sake." He turned to face me, his gaze unwavering, his eyes dark with something I couldn't place. "Madison isn't who she says she is. She's a fraud, Audrey. A con artist." I froze. The world around me seemed to stop moving, the laughter and chatter from the reception muffling into nothing. "What are you talking about?" "Madison is no," Michael interrupted, his voice cutting through the confusion in my head. "She's been playing your brother, and she's been playing your whole family. She's a scam artist, and she's here to steal from you all." The words didn't make sense. My mind refused to process them. I had seen Madison with Kyle for months. They were perfect together, weren't they? How could this be true? I took a step back, my chest tightening with disbelief. "How do you know this? What do you mean? You think she's, what, pretending to be someone else?" Michael nodded, his face a mask of grim determination. "Yes, Audrey. I've been doing some digging. I wasn't sure at first, but when I overheard her talking about the family's assets, I knew she was here for the money. She's been doing this for years. She targets wealthy families, marries their sons, and then disappears with everything." I could barely breathe. My knees felt weak. This couldn't be true. It just couldn't. My brother, Kyle, who had always been the smart one, the cautious one, had to be aware of the woman he was marrying. "But, she can't be. She can't be." I cried out. "How do you even know all of this? How can you be so sure?" Michael took a deep breath. "I've seen her kind before. I'm not just some clueless guy. She made a mistake today. I saw her slip something from a guest's purse, Audrey. I didn't want to believe it at first, but she's been running the same scam for years." My heart pounded in my chest, my mind reeling. "What do we do now?" How do we stop her? We need evidence, Michael said quickly. We need to confront her, but we need proof first. She won't go down without a fight. She's dangerous. I felt sick to my stomach. We can't just let her get away with this. She'll destroy Kyle. She'll destroy us all. Michael nodded grimly. Exactly. But we have to act fast. The minutes felt like hours as we made our way back into the reception. The ballroom was alive with music, laughter, and conversation. Kyle was there, standing by Madison, his arm wrapped around her waist as they greeted guests. They looked like the perfect couple, so happy, so in love. The contrast between the joy in the room and the nightmare unfolding outside was unbearable. Michael and I stayed at the edge of the room, watching Madison carefully, searching for any sign that she was slipping up. I had no idea how to begin finding proof. I couldn't even look at her without feeling a growing sense of disgust. How could someone do this? How could they infiltrate a family like this, pretending to be someone they weren't? And then, as if on cue, Madison made her move. She disappeared into the crowd, heading toward the back of the hall. Michael's eyes locked onto her. He stood up without a word and motioned for me to follow. We quietly followed her through the crowd, staying out of sight, my pulse hammering in my throat. We reached a hallway at the back of the venue, and Michael paused, watching Madison closely. She was alone, fumbling through her purse. It was then that Michael made his move. He strode toward her, blocking her path. Madison, he said, his voice cold and sharp. She froze. The smile that had always been so fake, the one she wore so effortlessly, vanished, replaced by a look of panic. Her eyes darted toward the door, her fingers tightening around the purse in her hand. You've been playing a game, haven't you? Michael said, his voice low and steady. And now it's over. Madison's face twisted in anger, but there was fear in her eyes. You don't know what you're doing, she spat. You don't know who I am. Oh, I know exactly who you are, Michael said, pulling something from his coat pocket. And I know exactly what you've been doing. I've got proof. And I'm going to make sure Kyle knows everything. Her eyes widened, her composure slipping. You think you've won? You don't know the half of it. You're right about one thing, Michael said, stepping forward. It's time for you to face the consequences. With that, he handed her an envelope, a stack of evidence, all the proof we needed to expose her. Madison's mask completely cracked. She knew she was caught. Within minutes, the authorities were on their way. The room was filled with whispers as guests began to realize something was wrong. Kyle was confused, heartbroken, but in the end, he would learn the truth. By the time the night ended, Madison was gone, her charade exposed for what it was. It wasn't the wedding any of us had imagined. My brother's heart would take time to heal, but justice had been done. I stood next to Michael, our hands still locked together, and I realized something: trust your instincts, no matter how much the world tells you otherwise. Sometimes, the people closest to you are the ones who try to destroy you. But the truth always finds its way to the surface. And when it does, it burns brighter than any lie. And Madison? She would never scam another soul again. As for Kyle, he would rebuild, and we would be their family, strong, and together. The road ahead wasn't easy, but it was ours to walk.